Yeah, I'm so extra. Express myself, I'm next up. Yeah, what more do you say? Coming up. Yeah. Come on. Yeah. Come up now. Come on. Stop me. Come on. You coming up.
Hello, everyone. It is time again for House of Peach. Thank you all for joining us tonight. We are happy to have you on. So we need you to tag and share and let a friend know. I know I can't either.
Oh, okay. I thought it was just me.
You're not the only one. I'm like, oh, where can we do this? But I think it's still linked to us, maybe. Did you go on your page to see?
Let me see.
We hope everyone has had a wonderful day. I am a little on the tired side from being in Colorado and the altitude, and I got back last night. However, I am very, very excited about tonight's topic. So as you come in, say something. I'm going to see if I can see it on my page as well, because that's where some of the comments come in. It's not coming up there.
Mm-mm.
That's okay. We're streaming on the House of Peach page and on YouTube, and definitely join us if you can and share it out. But so Morgan, how was your day today? And I see you don't have your glasses on, so you look totally different, more like your dad. You look more like your dad without the glasses.
Yes, without the glasses, that's
Right.
you get the whole full effect. Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah, well, that's just because I can't find them. That's the kind of day it's been. Okay.
oh wow. It's okay. It's cool.
Exactly.
We
So
have
the
those
TV
moments.
squinting is just because I can't see. Okay.
Not that you're saying, ew, what? What are you
Yeah,
saying? It's
exactly.
like, wait, I can't see you, but it's
Do
okay.
not, yes, do not read the expressions on the face today. Just listen to the voice that's behind the
Right.
face.
Like, don't even do that.
Yes, no, I got babies on board. I finished a placenta like 2 days ago or a day ago. Yes, said Sunday. Sunday, got babies coming. Two on the way.
Oh wow.
So waited on bated breath and hook. I was just like, y'all just make sure you don't go into labor like in this hour.
Like
Call
the whole
me that your water broke
time.
after I'm done here.
Yeah. Like to cut loose after we're done, then everybody can do what you need to do. Just not right now.
Just not right now. Exactly.
Well, today has been very it's been a day. I mean, it's nothing exciting, interesting. I'm glad to be back so I can take care of some things. And then I will be in Houston this weekend. So I'm looking forward to that. Ariel and I will be down there this weekend. So that's going to be fun. But today is a very special day. And Peach, if you can put the link to get on as a guest today, since it's our He Said, She Said. And Morgan gave the most amazing topic. What was that? Tell us what the topic is, what we're going to talk about.
Look, that's a good question. Let me see what I texted you real quick.
Here we go.
I think I said it had some. Oh, come on. Okay, hold on, because you were like, yes, that's it.
It's not even showing up on House of Peach Facebook page.
I know, yeah. I looked there too.
Oh, okay. Well, that's okay. We're on still.
So I want to say it was is love a reality show? Does that sound right?
Okay, that sounds pretty good.
I think that sounds right. Is love a reality show?
Yeah, yes, is love. So what we are talking about. So Morgan set this up for us because this was all your idea, and I thought it was amazing, and I really want us to get into discussing it. So tell me how you came up with us doing this part. What have you been doing? What have you been
Okay, so I don't despise, but I'm not like the biggest reality TV type person. But I cannot lie, I am a sucker for well, I used to watch 90 Day Fiance.
Mm.
Married at First Sight until just recently was like my thing. I would try to catch it every single season. So for me, it was like this Married at First Sight, this Love is Blind, this what's that other one? Too Hot to Handle. We have all of these um reality shows that are geared around love, whether it's how you find love, whether it's if you're keeping the love that you have, or being open to a new one,
Mhm.
um unconventionally going about love, like the Married at First Sight type thing. And so
Mhm.
I got really to thinking, like, life partner, relationships, all of that kind of stuff is not for the weak.
Right.
And they make it either look so easy or so glamorous,
Mhm.
on a lot of these reality shows. Sometimes it makes me wonder, like, are people really up here for publicity, or are
Mhm.
they genuinely looking for a life partner, and are they bringing their true selves to the situation?
Right.
So one, I wanted to pose the question, as far as reality, like, is that something that you would do? Would you go out on a limb and marry a whole stranger? Would you, question your 5-year relationship and give an ultimatum? That's like my new one. I was watching Ultimatum this week because I was like, okay,
Mhm.
so what exactly is this about? Would you actually do that? You feel like things are not progressing the way that they should, or you spent a lot of time, put in a lot of effort into a relationship, but it's not progressing to the next step. Would you be willing to give up that entire relationship,
Mhm.
be open to a new one, just to see whether or not, nope, I really want this person and I want to work on it, even if it means I have to wait a little bit longer, or maybe even the experiment, puts a fire underneath that other person's butt, and now they're ready, because the reality of this person's not going to always be around. They're obviously a catch, and there's other people out here who can be interested. Are you going to step up to the plate and do what needs to be done so that you can, forge a real relationship? So that's really where it came from. Like I said, I was binge watching the Ultimatum this week, and
Yeah.
was like, would I ever be on a show like this? Would I do something like this? Is it real?
Well, so I am a fan of Married at First Sight.
Me too.
I started watching it the very first season and was quite intrigued. Actually, the first African American couple that was on there, it was Monet, and I can't remember the other guy's
Mhm.
name. I love her name so much that Ariel's middle name is Monet, and I got her middle name from that person, that woman on the
No
show.
way. What
Yes,
show? Oh, I guess that show has really been on that long.
it has. Yes.
Yeah, because wasn't Jeffy and Shanice were the second season, right? The one in Boston. And I
I
think their
don't
daughter's
Were
about
they
to be
second or the
six.
third?
I don't know. They were one of my favorite
It
couples
has to be
too.
the second or the third because
Yeah.
Ariel is 9. So it
Okay.
has to be the second or third season that they
It was
were on.
probably 3, because I think that Laura is like 6 now.
Yeah,
Their
yeah,
daughter. Yeah.
and yeah, she's cute. So after watching that show, now I can say for me in this place where I am now, mature, seasoned, have been through some things, then I would do it. I honestly would do it. Now, my only
What,
drawback,
Married at First Sight you would do?
yeah, I
Okay.
would. My only thing that would concern me, as it was with many of them, is when I walk through the door, would I be physically attracted to the person? Now, I can really, I'm a good communicator, so I would be with the issues that they were dealing with about, how they were. That's stuff that you work out in a relationship, in a marriage.
Right.
Because they're not going to do things the way you want them to do. You're not going to do them the way that they want you to do. It's about compromise and understanding. We're two totally different people
Right.
coming together. So I can work on that part. But my fear is always, is he going to be ugly or is he going to be drop dead gorgeous? Now, that did happen because on this very first season, it was Doug and, oh, what is her?
Yes. Oh my gosh. And they have such a beautiful story. Like,
Yeah.
I
So
don't know why I can't think of Jamie. There we go. Jamie.
Jamie
Yes,
Otis,
Jamie.
that's
I follow
right.
them.
Right, right. So just seeing her reaction when she saw him, I felt so bad for him. I really did. But
It was
they,
real.
it was real, and they and they grew to love each other. They now have what, 2, 3 kids together,
I think they have 3 kids now. Yeah.
3, and they are together.
They
So,
are. It's almost like 10 years, or it's been at least 10 years or so. Yeah,
yeah,
like I absolutely love that story. My heart definitely went out to him as
yeah. I
well
really
in the
felt bad
beginning.
for him.
Because I feel like that, just like you said, I feel like that was probably my first thought. Like, so what happens if you don't like the person
Yeah,
that they pair you with? And I mean, the process is very extensive, and I feel like they do a pretty decent job of picking pairs. Like, I get why
yeah,
they pick the people that they pick. But then if you
right,
fast forward some seasons to Chris,
yeah, yeah.
I was like, I don't even want, like, you're about to get uninvited to the barbecue, bro. Like, what
Mhm.
is this? What is this? So if you guys don't watch the show, so Chris was a young black male who ended up being paired with this beautiful, very I don't want to say she wasn't timid, but she was definitely a soft, mild mannered young lady. Her name is completely escaping me right now. And I was like, I'm happy that things are moving along for her now, but he really took her through the ringer. He was not initially attracted to her
And he should have said that.
and never said that. He then
Yeah.
proceeded to then have relations with her multiple
Yes.
times. And then he springs in the middle of the honeymoon that he's still in love with his ex.
And
And
didn't
now
she
it's
end up
like, and
pregnant?
then she was, yes. Then she ended up being pregnant. Then
Yeah.
he goes off and buys her a car without, her name was Paige. That's what her name was. He ended up buying a car without Paige's consent. And she was like, so you didn't think to just, talk to me about, like, I am your wife. Like,
Exactly.
like this is not a car. You don't buy a car without consulting your wife. Like, that's just something you don't do. And
Absolutely.
he was like, well, what you want? My baby mom to be driving around in some kind of, sounds like a personal problem. Like, and even if you were going to be very gentlemanly, I'm sorry. I come from the school of, if you go and buy her a Beamer, there at least needs to be a Beamer or a Benz or something else in my driveway as well. What we not
Absolutely.
about to do is have me driving around in this. You can afford to do this. And that was the thing. He could afford to do it. He owned
Right.
multiple businesses and things.
Right.
Sorry, I had to tell Noah to go upstairs. For some reason, he thought it was time to play right in front of the computer. So, so yeah, I like that. I think is what really started to change the
Mhm.
flavor of the show for me.
Yeah.
And that's when my wheels really started turning. Like, are people really in this to be finding some life partners, or are they on this because they want the publicity?
There were some that genuinely, and you could tell the real from the fake. You can
Yeah,
tell those that really wanted the relationship and really wanted to be married. They had tried their own way, their own tactics, and it didn't work. So it's like, you know what? One of them, and I can't remember who it was, there were a couple of people that said, I've tried it my way. I've dated, I've tried to, do this, but maybe now I want to see what the experts could do.
right.
And one of the experts that I loved the most was Pastor Cal. I love him. He's absolutely amazing and real. And that's what I loved about him. He was real. So when they were messing up and they weren't compromising and they were just totally off their
Yeah.
rocker, he told them. It wasn't
Yeah,
like
like the guy. Remember the guy who refused to move in, like to move into the apartment? I think his
oh yeah,
partner's name was Mandy,
yeah, I
and
remember
just
him
left her to pretty much do the experiment by
by
herself.
herself.
Or
Yeah.
the other girl who had the guy that she was just like, oh, well, I went to a fortune teller right before I came here, and she said that my husband was going to have an eagle tattoo and he didn't have a tattoo. And she would never say that she wasn't actually attracted to him.
Oh
She used to
wow.
just she made up a whole bunch of stuff about him that didn't happen or that he
Oh my
didn't say.
God.
And then I think her name was Alyssa. And she's like, I'm not a bad person. She said it
Well,
like 50 million times. And it was
and,
like,
and,
anyone
and
who's
I
trying to say that is probably trying to cover up how not a good person.
right, exactly. And then my thing is they interview these people. They let them
Yes.
know what this is about and what they're getting themselves into. Like why would you come on there and ruin another person's life by being that way?
Yeah.
So, and the other show, so let's move away from Married at First Sight because that, I mean, I could do that, but and even if came in and he wasn't exactly drop dead gorgeous, but he was okay, I could make that work. I could, spruce him up a little bit, change his clothes, maybe add something like, here, why don't you try this?
Yes.
And make it work. So then we go to, and so for those of you that are watching, if you want to come in and weigh in on the conversation, we would love for you to come in. The link is there on the screen. Just type it in, and then we'll let you on and give your 2 cents. But until that time, Morgan and I will keep talking. So let's talk about Love is Blind. So Love is Blind, they have the men and the women on each side, and they're separated by, they go into these rooms and they're separated by this wall that they cannot see each other, but they can hear each other. So it forces them to have a conversation and learn about each other through there. And how long did they have? They have weeks. Do they have weeks to do that?
I
I don't
think they
know
only
what
have
the
like 1 or 2 weeks. It's not a whole lot of
It's not a
time.
long time. So they have to do all of this talking and getting to know one another. And then after they've done that whatever set time, then there's a meetup day. And then they propose. Well, they propose through the wall.
They propose through the wall, and some people just know like really early. So there are people who, only like 4 or 5 days in have proposed. And then
Yeah.
there's other people where it's like towards
It's
the end.
it's like speed relationship or speed
Yeah.
dating because they actually go through each person that's there. So all of the women go through all of the guys go through all of the girls, and they decide. But the one one season that I did watch, one guy he chose one of the ladies and she didn't want him. And so then he goes to, was that the show? Or was that Married? That wasn't Married.
I
That
feel
was
like
a show.
they kind of do go together, but is this the one that like he proposed? I think yeah, it definitely was. He
He proposed
proposed.
to one, and
Yeah,
she turned him down, and so then he proposed to the other one. So she was like the second
my second
choice.
fiddle. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah,
That was
they
yes.
just got
I know that.
divorced.
I don't think they ended up making it.
No, they did not. I'm telling you, they didn't. I've been following them on
You've been
Instagram.
following them? Yeah, because I was following them
They
for a
didn't
minute.
make
They
it.
actually were like the poster couple for a couple of couples games
Yeah,
for
and I
like a
thought
minute.
I was skeptical about that from the beginning because you went with your second choice and she accepted when she could have said no. So she set herself up. She knew from the beginning she was his second choice. Like, why would you do that? But I thought, they made it seem like they were trying to make it work. And then the next thing you know, you get this long post on their pages that they were not going to be together. So,
But I don't think I was surprised by that
mhm,
post if for no other reason the relationship or the chemistry that was between the first one that he picked
mhm.
and him, that was kind of undeniable. And
Yeah.
that girl's relationship didn't work out either, because eventually she was
Yeah.
like, this is not who I want to be with. And then at the reunion, the two of them are talking and saying stuff that they should not have said, which is what I honestly think is what brought the post along, which is what always brings me to, like, really, what is your motive behind love?
Mhm.
You know what I mean? What are you really trying to get out of this? Like,
Right.
I think I would be open to a situation like this, because it's like, yeah, you know what? I've tried it my way.
Mhm.
Got to kind of sometimes get out of my own way. You know, I remember when I first started watching it, I was around my mom and she was just like, God is supposed to be the one that's putting people together, not these reality people. So that's a thought behind it too. And I think a couple of people's parents brought that up, where they
Yeah.
were just like, you know, from a religious standpoint, like, I feel like you're taking God out of this. And now
Mhm.
you're just leaving it all in the hands of man
Right.
and hoping that it ends up working out. But then you've got some amazing, you know, couples out there, like, I can only think of his name right now, Mr. Above and
Yes.
BBS.
Yes. And they just
Like,
had another baby too.
I know, I'm like super, super excited. But then,
Yeah.
like, my heart fell because of Miles and
Uh
starts with a
something
K.
K. I can't remember
Oh,
her
I
name.
can't think of her name, right? Karen? Is it Karen?
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
I think her name.
She
I think her name.
she never really wanted after she never
So
she was
that's what.
on okay, my
Yeah.
opinion was this is my real opinion. She was on there for the clout. She was on there for the notoriety because if you look at her now, she's traveling everywhere. She's into everything, and that's fine if you wanted to. But that man's feelings were seriously hurt because but he's doing well. I must say he's doing well. But
He's doing well. I think he found someone new.
oh,
As per the post from his
oh,
birthday.
oh.
But
I thought that was his sister, the girl in the red.
that's what I thought too, till I read the comments. Girl, look, you done taught me something about the comment section. Okay, I'm gonna just let you know. So yeah, that's what I thought too. So, and I was like, I went through, because this one girl was just like, yeah, something about your mother-in-law. So then I went to her page and then saw she was the mother of the girl in the red. Yes.
Oh,
But here's the thing.
okay.
So Karen is protesting right now because she's like, I don't like the narrative that you guys actually spun when it came to me. She was like, it was not the way that you guys put it out there, as if I was the one that was emotionless. I was the one who didn't want to be in the relationship. I mean,
She
you were
was
the one.
though.
I mean, in the beginning, she was.
Yeah.
Someone stupidly told you who you were marrying the night before.
Yeah.
Fire that person. Then you decide to go and, you know, stalk them on social media. So in your head, you had already made up, this is not your type. And remember,
Mhm.
like you just said, we're trying to not do things the way that we used to do. We're
Right.
trying to get outside of our normal box. So that's what the purpose of it was.
Right.
So she was like, it was him that was emotionally unavailable. It was him that was emotionally immature. This, that, and the third. I know he was dealing with some mental health issues, which does take some empathy and some time to work through. When we
Mhm.
think about it, at the end of the day, if the man just turned 30, we know where he is. There are a lot of 30-year-old men who still have a lot of maturing to do.
Right.
So, like, you've got to take it with a grain of salt. And there was an age gap in between them two. I think we're like 5 to 7 years, something like that.
Yeah, it was because she was much
I
older,
think
right?
she's older than him. Yeah, exactly. And that does play a huge part in that too. You know what I mean? Like, what
Mhm.
is that age gap? What are you going to allow? What type of maturity? What kind of mental issues? There's so many things, and I feel like some of those are not addressed in Love is Blind.
Yeah.
Some of them I don't feel like in Love is Blind they're being 100% genuine. If
No,
for no other reason, the way that the guys go back and forth between the girls, and it's like,
they're
oh, well, I
disgusting.
really like you. And then, you know, yeah, you're definitely the one. She leaves the pod, another one comes in, and you're saying the same thing to the next girl.
Yeah.
This is the reason why we are on the daggone show in the first place, is
Mhm.
to alleviate this. We get that in everyday life. Now I
Yeah.
gotta come here on national television for somebody to watch me get played again.
Right.
And that
Right.
brings me to that Indian couple that was there. I really thought
He
that
was
like
very arrogant, wasn't he? I did
he
not like him
was.
at all. I did not.
I remember like he was very into the point of that show is like April was saying to not see who the person is. But he
Mhm.
would be like, "So, are you tall? Can I pick you up and put you over my shoulders?" So he'd be asking questions
He
that are
would.
pretty much like, "Are you heavy? You know, how tall are you?"
He was. It was awful. Yeah, it was a mess. So, for those of you that are just joining us, our topic for tonight is Love a Reality Show. So, we're talking about the different shows that are on TV now: Married at First Sight, Love is Blind, Ultimatum, which I've not seen that, and I probably don't want to see that. But one of the questions that Morgan posed and asked is if anyone would go on these shows, Married at First Sight, where they pair you up, the experts pair you up, and you don't meet them until your wedding day. Love is Blind, you talk through to people from pods with a wall, and then you decide if who you want to marry, and then you have the meet up. Or Ultimatum, where you would have been with someone for a certain amount of time, and if they didn't marry you, you give them the ultimatum and you go with somebody else, and then either you're going to be with that new person or you're going to go back to the old person. Now, the problem that I have with ultimatum is, and just thinking about the storyline and how it is, if you're with me and we've been together for a while and we have not gotten married or going towards that, and you tell me that you want to go and try with somebody else, then we're done. Like, you're not going to go try with somebody else and then come and realize, oh, I really wanted to be with you, and then come back and think we're just going to pick up.
So here's the thing. There's the person who actually is giving the ultimatum is the one that wants to be married. They're giving the ultimatum
Okay.
to the one who's pussyfooting around.
Okay.
So that's really where they're coming from. It's like, it's not that I want to do this, but I'm about to let you see that I don't have to stay here. This is a choice. This is what I want to do. And if you want to be with me, then I need you to.
That's a lot of pressure to put on someone. However, no, let me take that back. Let me rephrase this. If I'm with someone, because I have a cutoff time, if we're together a year, I'm going to give you a good solid year. If you have not proposed, or we haven't gotten married or made plans to get married in that year's time, I'm not dragging it for 2 years. I'm not doing that. That's 2 years of my life that I've devoted to you, for you to still not be sure. Like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not.
I feel you on that as far as being sure, but I do feel like there are tons of, even speaking to like, my marriage, there are things that I wish that we had gone through before I said I do, because that would have been able to tell me some things. So I've learned to not rush certain things. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I do believe that there needs to be a cutoff time. I do
Yeah.
believe that, no, we're not going to be sitting here. Like, there was a couple that had been together. They were high school sweethearts. They had been together for like 9 years. And he still was like, not that he wasn't sure, but
What was the issue? That's 9 whole years. Like,
so he's in grad school and he keeps saying stuff like, I want to make sure that I'm done with this first. But you done been through like 3 phases of school already. Like, you did high school, you did your undergrad, and I believe he was like a second master's or something like that. So it was seeming like he was like a career, and she was like, I don't want to do this alone. You want to talk about kids because we're getting older and stuff like that. I don't plan on parenting by myself. You're
Right.
virtually never home now. So what exactly are we doing here? Either you're going to be trying to, put this forward or not. He was not a stand-up guy at the end of the day, to believe. I can't wait to see. Did I watch the reunion? I did watch the reunion.
I've got
I did watch that
to
thing
look at it.
because there was a lot going on in there. There was a couple actually, and because you said you feel like it would be a lot to begin with, That's exactly what happened with this black couple. And the girl, when I say she went off, the first moment that, her now ex-boyfriend, because they're like, you come in, spend a day or two with each other having conversations, then you guys break up. So you spend that last night together. The next day is when you start doing these dates. Every now and then they'll do something where it's like a group where all of you guys are together, and they kind of break up into whomever they might have been interested in or already felt like there was a connection with. And that is where things got really intense, because imagine sitting in a room with your, after 7 years, partner, watching him have a conversation with another girl and look really interested or look super happy, or see looks on his face that you haven't seen in years, or maybe even never, for that matter.
And I could feel some kind of way about that. It could make me feel bad, like, who am I? What kind of person am I that he doesn't look at me like that, but he's all chummy with her and doing that?
Yeah.
Or it could make me very angry. And that wouldn't be good for
That's where
nobody.
homegirl went. She was just like, you know what? You can go over there with that Hooters heifer and da 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 da. Of course.
See, that's
like,
where
yo, you were really disrespectful. Like, that was just too much. And she was like, you know what? Go ahead. Screw this. Screw you. Screw the, experiment, the whole 9 yards. She runs off.
Yeah.
Then she comes back the day later and she's like, I'm pregnant. So now everyone on the show is like, she's lying.
Oh, wow.
But she wasn't. She wasn't. But the girl then, the girl eventually confronted her and was just like, why would you call me a Hooters heifer? Like, we were chatting, and last I remember, you also worked at Hooters too. And she was like, yes, but you look like you were out here, like, who comes here to go after someone's man? And I definitely sat there and I was like, ma'am, that was the point of this show. Like, all you're doing is regretting the fact that you gave an ultimatum. Like, if you're not sure and willing to possibly lose this person, because maybe that's it. But I personally believe that you should not take that decision personally. You shouldn't take those looks and things personally either. I feel like if he or she can give someone else looks that you've never gotten, there's your answer. You're just not their person. And just like you were saying, I'm not trying to waste time and this, that, and the third. I would prefer to see that and know that and be like, okay, I'm not for you. I obviously don't do it for you. So now I can go off and put my time, my attention into something else versus dragging this out another 10 years. Because that's what it seems like, they're pretty much doing. There's another one that's like that on OWN that I watch with this lady who's kind of like a Yanla Van Zandt, which is pretty dope. Let me see. Jason said, good evening, ladies. I believe in a short time as well. I've done the 2-year trial. I've seen red flags, but you try to give a person the benefit of the doubt. Let's
talk about
that benefit of the doubt, Jason. Oh my goodness.
Let's now he said some stuff that we got to unpack here. Let's talk about these red flags. I am very guilty of seeing red flags and being like, oh, well, maybe. And then it turns out to bite me when I should have taken those red flags and ran, and I didn't. A lot of people ignore those red flags and they end up in situations that become dangerous for them, become detrimental to their mental health and their mental stability. And this giving people the benefit of the doubt, there has to be
a boundary,
something minor, something just very insignificant that when you really think about it, it can't escalate into anything greater. It's just something, it could be something that I don't like, something that it's just me. Yeah.
So here's the thing. Jason, yes, I should have ran.
But you needed that experience. So you got that experience in. So we'll say that you got that experience.
Exactly. As far as, so when you talk about something minor, so here's the thing. And I obviously this is why I'm in therapy, to work some stuff out. I'm gonna be honest. I do not come to the table perfect. I know. So
Hey, I'm in therapy too. Don't worry. We're doing this.
exactly, we are doing the work. We're doing the work. But here's the thing: when we talk about little things, sometimes these little things are indicative of bigger issues. I
True.
will I will give you a prime example. Um, I was in a relationship and I made a huge pot of spaghetti with meat sauce. Like one of those 2-pound containers of turkey, couple bottles of sauce, a whole like big family, 2 pounds of pasta kind of thing. And was like, okay, this should last us for like a few days, this, that, and the third. I get up and I go to work. By the time I come home, there is only a bowl left.
What? This person ate all of it?
The whole thing. And I would have been okay if it was like, oh no, I gave some to my brother, I gave some to like the neighbor, I gave some to my mom, whatever. But no, this person ate the whole pot minus one bowl and then was like, oh, we can make some more. We used the royal we when it was I who got up at 5 o'clock in the morning before I had to leave to go drive an hour and a half. He said, sounds like me.
Wait a minute. The one making the food or the one eating it up? I mean,
Yes,
I need
to
answers.
clarify that. Okay.
Clarify. I need answers because I'm going to get mad right now.
Yeah, exactly. So look, and so it was a royal we. So that, of course, caught me off guard. And then he was just like, oh, we'll just go back and replace it. Well, at the time, I had an aversion to red meat. Like it was just something that I could not eat at the time. So like I said, I bought a 2-pound thing of turkey. He said, eating it up. Jason, fired. Okay.
Thank you for letting me know ahead of time so I don't go around trying to kill people.
Yeah, exactly. Now we know who we need to serve. We need to serve your plate, Jason. We go make your plate when we have it.
Stay out of the pots, sir. Stay out of the pots, sir.
But yeah, so and then we went back and he bought ground beef. So then I couldn't eat it at all.
Oh wow.
That right there just, and it's so funny. Like we can laugh about it today, but there was nothing funny about it then.
Right.
And for me, I was just like, you weren't considerate, number one. Like you only thought about yourself. And then secondly, you weren't even paying attention enough to know, one, that I wasn't eating red meat, but two, replace the very thing. And now I was feeling like I was talking to a roommate. So we're no longer now in a relationship having a relationship conversation, but now we having roommate conversation. Like you just drank the last soda and didn't even put back the soda that.
Right.
You know, who wants to be petty in a relationship? Like no one. I don't think people set out to be petty, but that's what happens.
It's you really have to take inventory of yourself when it comes to being in relationship. Like there's work that needs to be done. You just have to see where you are and how you're going to be with another person. And when you're with someone, you got to pay attention to them and listen, and they have to pay attention to you. The communication piece is important. You know, you were talking about, we were talking about love, and love isn't. People think love is just a feeling. Oh, I have butterflies, and you just make me smile. And no, it's a decision that you make
daily.
So if you go on those shows, you're making a decision to love someone that you have not seen, you don't know anything about, but you're willing to put yourself out there for that. And I believe there are people that genuinely want that, and then there's some that just want the notoriety. Like these shows are airing everywhere, and you have all these seasons. It's very popular. Let me go and get my face out here because I'm going to use this as a stepping stone to get somewhere else.
Right.
Not realizing in the process, people are getting hurt. So
Right.
if I connect with someone and I genuinely am looking for love and they're just looking to be famous, now I'm going to get hurt. I'm going to be scarred, and it's just going to continue this cycle.
Absolutely. That's how I felt about Steve and Noy from Married at First Sight. It was one of the last episodes.
Okay, I didn't see
Who else
that.
was in there?
I didn't see that one.
He so Steve was in a place in his life where he could be able to backpack around the world. He could do whatever. I believe he was an analyst, but whatever he was doing, he could do from wherever, and he could work from home, especially when it came to COVID. Noy from they were both of Asian descent. I don't not definitely not from the same place, but a lot of the cultures and and things kind of just meshed. So she came from nothing, as did he, but the way that she processed coming from nothing made her be like, I need to know that you can financially handle this. I need to know that you can be able to contribute. I need to know, excuse me. So that was like the number one thing that she cared about the entire time. So even when it came towards the end of the experiment, it was like, well, no, I don't want to move in together. Like if we decide to stay married, like I still want to have my own place, this, that, and the third. And she just didn't want to let go of her autonomy. So as much as I feel that, because I feel like having your autonomy is necessary in a relationship, or else it just completely goes kaput. But then what happens when you've got someone who's all the way in and willing to just really take that dive, and that other person is just really apprehensive because of healing that they haven't dealt with?
Yeah. And then too, another thing, well, Jason said you have to be very open-minded when you go into the relationship. That's why I wouldn't ever go on those shows looking for love. I feel they go on them to be famous, and some of them do. Some go on there. And you were talking about that. It's good in a relationship to maintain who you are. Maintain your own identity, your own strength. Don't just become subservient to anyone in a relationship. But then too, you got to understand when you got to balance things out. So you can't still, like for me, so I can only talk about me. I can't talk about anybody else.
Right.
So I have been single for a long time. And even when I was married before, I was still single. So very independent, very strong will. Yes, I'm stubborn at times. So it would be a little difficult, and it has been, for me to realize I can't run it. I can't control it. It can't be my way. You can't do it the way I want you to do it. And besides, I don't want to carry the heavy lifting. I don't want to do it anymore. I don't.
Yeah.
People don't come into that way. And then if you have people like this on these shows, and you have one that's really controlling and they want to run everything, they want you to do it their way, then the other person's like, wait a minute, excuse me, you're not the only person in this relationship now. And they don't want to bend, they don't want to yield, they don't want to be submissive, where you have to be submissive to each other. And the next thing you know, we're seeing their posts on Instagram about them splitting up. But then there are those that really work through, those that have made it. I am very proud of them. They did the work. And I'm saying it wasn't that they didn't have issues, but they learned how to work through them together. So for many, going on those shows was successful. And then for others, it wasn't. And there was one show, one season. Remember the guy Tristan? Really?
Yes.
I felt bad for him because he really cared about the wife that he had, and she did him dirty, but he remarried and had a baby.
He has a baby. Yes, exactly. And when I say he is loving life, like I am so happy for him. And if it's like, sometimes those type of relationship, like you never want anybody to be pained. Like relationships and love is not supposed to be painful, but I feel like there's a learning lesson in everything. And I feel like there were some things that he had to learn which he probably brought to that new relationship, which is why it's as amazing as it is now.
Yeah.
And he's gotten everything that he was looking for. And it does suck that when you're looking at, especially on, these shows where the camera can portray whatever the heck they want to. They can slice and dice whatever you said. They can make you look like whatever. Because remember, at one point in time, she was like, "Oh, Tristan threw me out," and that was not the case. She left.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's where I think that's where and I'm sorry if we keep calling a girl the wrong name, but Karen, I was like, that's how I kind of feel like if they could do Tristan like that, I could kind of understand maybe if they had done her like that as well.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it was just like, but why would they do that when you had Amani? And now I'm, like I said, I'm throwing his name off.
I know who you're talking about.
But yeah, like Randall,
Right.
that's what it was. Why would you do that when Randall was already coming into the gate with a best friend? Like everybody was rooting for the two buddies. Like how you get two friends on the same show that know each other who are going through this experiment together. Like I thought that was absolutely amazing. Because now you've got two friends that are literally going through the same kind of experience, and they can be able to help each other.
Right.
And I'm sure that that's what they're doing, even now as things have, changed. But that's not something that we're used to. You know what I mean? If you were to do that tomorrow, I'd be as empathetic as I possibly could. But there's going to be some things that I really am just not going to be able to understand because I haven't done it.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean?
I wish that we had some men who would be able to come on and share their perspective and their thoughts, because it's easy for us to say yes or no if we would do these shows or not, or participate. Somebody asked me it's been a while ago, if I would go on one of those shows. And I know at the beginning of the show, I said that I would, but they would have to have a show. It would have to be catered for those who have been married before and have children, not these ones that have never been married. They don't have any kids. They haven't really experienced anything. I need somebody seasoned who's been through some things, because then we're more settled to know. So then if the experts say, "Oh, I can pair you up. This is your personality type, and this is how they are," it just might work. But
remember there was that, I think it was that same season, there was a guy that was the pilot. And, and I was like, I think he had been married before. He had been married before. She had never been married before.
Yeah. And so then that poses an issue, because she's not bending or yielding. And he's like, "Oh my God,
I done been here. I'm not trying to." Exactly. He wasn't trying to bring past stuff into this one, but he's all, and there was that age difference. So I was like, I feel like he had a lot of things batting up against him. Like she was really young. He doesn't have a career where he can party and drink the way that she wanted to. So then that was an issue. And then, of course, when you are the sober one and you're seeing, your partner or even a friend for that matter, drinking to the extent of which they're, doing on the show, that gives you a completely different perspective of the person as well.
Because she was going in and he was just kind of sitting there like, "Oh, wow, what have I got? That is your wife now." That's who you're with. Jason, don't do that. Don't.
Exactly. Well, look, here's my other thing. So, but let's talk about this 90-day fiance thing for a hot second, because I was like, that's now a little bit longer. And Jason, I don't know if 90 days is enough for you, since you said you like to do that short term thing. But those 90 days are intense.
Yeah.
Especially when you're talking about moving to another country, dealing with different cultures, dealing with different food.
Now that's where I don't think I could do that. I really don't think, because you could get to this new culture and they not be accepting of you, and they make it horrible. If you're not accustomed to none of that, it's a difficult transition. And I don't want to be there and depressed and like, I can't do this.
Well, that happened to actually a young Black girl who was dating a guy from Jordan, I believe.
Oh, wow.
And his family saw her Instagram account. And because she is a model and she had bathing suits and other things that was on, and she'd like model in front of sports cars and this, that, and the third, they had already said that she was a prostitute. That's literally where they came from. So his family was like to the point where they were ready to kill him. Like this was, yeah. And I'm like jaw dropping, like, this is on TV. Like, these people are literally talking about killing this man. It's not disowning, but literally killing him if he chooses to go off and marry her. So now he's like, okay, so do I run off with her and move to America so I can have this life? Because he really wanted to be with her.
Wow. So what exactly did he do?
I think they ended up breaking up because I think they ended up breaking up. It was hard. He said, yes, they are very intense, those 90 days, and especially marrying a foreigner. I couldn't do that. I think I'd have to do some research on
absolutely
culture first. Absolutely. And there isn't a culture yet where I'm like, that's it. Yes. Let me immerse myself in all of this. Like there really isn't. So, and that just could be because I haven't done enough, research. I love to travel. I love people, but
we don't have to marry over there to travel. I'm just going to travel and I'm going to come back. I'm not marrying one of you. I'm not going that far.
That reminds me of, I was like, there was this one white lady with the Indian guy, and then there was a white lady with this Ethiopian guy. And especially when the white lady with the Ethiopian guy, she ended up getting pregnant. So her parents, and I think she's from like Connecticut. So her parents go to Ethiopia and they're like, what? You're having this baby where? Like, we're gonna, like, they could not handle it. They did not approve of the apartment that he got. They just didn't. He's a dancer. So they were just not for it. And it was like, it's a little late. She's about to have his baby and she's not going anywhere. So now that's something that you kind of have to take into account. Like, I don't know if I would get caught up to a point where now it's like, ooh, I may or may not be able to leave the country because now we talk about custody of a child.
Yeah.
It's a lot. So I don't know. I would say Love ain't for a reality. I'm sure it makes great TV. Yeah, it's very entertaining.
It is.
I'm not going to say that it doesn't work, but yeah, exactly. It's too much heartbreak for me, I think.
Yeah. And then it's, long-term effect can be from that, because if someone gets hurt or they get dumped or whatever, and you see that person on the street, you're going to remember what happened to them. And so you're going to come up and you're going to say, oh, I'm so sorry that happened. And what does it do? It just opens the wound up again. Yeah. So does the person, are they really able to heal from that? What? I wouldn't want my face plastered and then I end up getting hurt. I'm like going, I probably would move to another country then.
Exactly. Well, that's how I felt about Paige. And I was just like, Lord, cover her. Because while she was on the show, everybody was calling her all types of names. She was stupid. She was this. She was that. Especially because it was like, yo, you could have ended this thing with Chris a long time ago. Yeah. Especially after the baby. Yeah. And saying you're not attracted. Then buying the car. Then it was something else. It was like 4 or 5 different things. And every time you turned around, it was like, she was like, okay, I'm done. And he'd be like, okay, wait, no, I'm not done with you. And pull her back in. And because she wanted to be that committed wife, because she was a God-fearing woman who understood the assignment from the beginning.
She did.
That was really rough for her. But now to see her, I was like, she's expecting now. She's in a, in a relationship and stuff like that. Like, I'm happy. She just, when I say just, like within the last couple of days, announced.
Find her on Instagram. I think she's I think I was following him.
I followed him for like 2 seconds, probably to like troll him a little bit. And then I unfollowed him.
Oh my God.
He was just too arrogant. An arrogant man is never a good thing. Sorry. Arrogant anybody.
Yeah, no. So we have been discussing, is love a reality show? And we're talking about Married at First Sight, Love is Blind, a 90-Day Fiance, Ultimatum, and how people feel about that, what their thoughts are. Would they go on the show? Would they participate? Would they engage? Or do they just watch it for entertainment? What are their thoughts? And I would love to, just have a really big panel of people to discuss this, because I like to hear different perspectives or different angles from it, because you got men and women going on the show. So
Yeah.
the I see the women seem to be some of them looking more seriously for it. There have been a few men, especially
Mhm.
on Married at First Sight. I haven't seen a few men that really, you could tell just by the way that they did clips of their interview, that they were serious and ready and committed to do it. And I'm just sitting there like every week, like I have to see what's going on. What are they going? My whole thing was, what will the response be when she walks through the door?
Yeah.
When she walks through the door, what is the response? What are you going to say? How are you going to respond to her? And how is she going to respond to you? That's what I want to see, because that's going to be the beginning of it there. If you don't look at each other like, oh, then we already
But I've
started.
seen the sparks where it was like a ooh, but then when
Yeah,
it got down to the nitty gritty, there was like zero substance, and there was no way that they could really be able to
yeah,
build a foundation. That's
yeah.
why I kind of like watching that Too Hot to Handle, because it really does take the whole physical thing off the table, and now it forces people
Ah,
who have zero concept of what a real relationship really is going to take, and now you force them to just have conversations. You're not allowed to touch. You're not no heavy petting. You're not allowed. Like nothing.
yeah. I
You gotta figure it
honestly
out.
believe that, because I've experienced it myself, that starting out that way is so much better. Now, mind you, people want that physical part, and
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with it. But if you are forced to communicate and learn that person, you can make a decision without ever worrying about, man, I messed up and we did this.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about it, because all you did was communicate, and you realize, oh no, this isn't the person,
This
and you
isn't
part
it.
ways with nothing, no attachments at all. So
I think that's the way that it was intended. Remember, like it's not supposed to dating is not really a thing. That's a
yeah,
thing, a construct that we kind of made up. The real deal is courting.
courting.
And
Yeah,
the point of courting is because you are interested enough to actually be wanting to marry a person. So
mm,
we're not just willy nilly, oh, I like you, or I like the way your hair looks. And so now we're going out on dates and stuff. No, like it needs to be that you intentionally see
yeah.
me as someone that I can build something with,
Hmm.
and then let's see about if this is something that we can actually do. And that, Jason, is how you end up in those really short term type of relationships. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? In the sense of it doesn't take a whole lot of time. No, we don't
right,
even do a whole year, because the intent when we're coming to the table is literally this. So we're going
right.
to have conversations about certain things right off the bat. We're going to talk about finances. We're going to talk about kids. We're going to talk about childhoods. We're going to talk about family. We're going to
And
talk
you know
about
what?
relationships with family.
And even with that, you still have to be careful and really pay attention, because I dated a guy when I was in New Jersey, who right off the bat did that. We had like the serious conversations about relationships and money, and who handles the money. How do you feel about this? And do you want any more kids? And this, that, and the third. And so I was like, I was kind of shocked, because I wasn't expecting that, like right off the bat. The
Right.
first 3 dates, it was like that. And so I'm thinking, oh wow, this is serious, this is real, because we're having these conversations, and we kept going out, and time passed and passed. So I'm thinking, oh my God, is this the one? Is he it? And then the next thing I know, he just flipped, he flipped on me. So after all of this conversation and getting to know one another, and me thinking, we had told each other we loved each other. It was like we spent a lot of time together. We had some arguments. We had worked through that stuff. So I'm like, okay, this might be it. And then we had a conversation that didn't go well, and I was just completely blown away in shock. Like, what are you talking about? And we talked, and I said, you know what? Yeah, I don't even have to stay in this. I don't even have to deal with this. And so I told him, I'm done. I'm done. He was like, "Are you serious?" Absolutely serious. And I didn't look back. I left and didn't look back. So even with that, the conversations are good and you're learning and you're knowing each other. And he never gave me any reason. I promise you, I did not see any red flags whatsoever. So I don't even really know what happened. And it's cool. It's fine. I got over it like immediately. It's like, oh, okay, fine. Let's just let that go. But
Yeah.
still got to pay attention.
Yeah, you do. Because I mean, people tell you what they want, what they think that you want to hear.
Yes.
People will give you the answers that they think that you're looking for.
Right.
You know, Peach is saying, you know, starting out as friends is always a great way to begin. I completely agree. But then at the same time, you look at someone like, for instance, even in my marriage, my husband and I, we've been friends for 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're 19 and a half. He doesn't like when I say 20 because it makes it seem like it's so long. Fine. 19 years. But the reality is, if you don't change that mindset over from friend, because when you got 19 years of experience, I can have someone who's looking at me from where I was 19 years ago, not who I am now.
Right.
So that can be an issue. Sometimes as friends, I know we had a problem where, like, we used to tell each other everything, like everything. There was nothing that we could say. Then all of a sudden we get in a relationship and we get married, and now
you're not saying anything.
You're not saying anything, or what used to make you laugh is not funny anymore.
What do you think that is? What causes that? Why do things change? Why can't you just maintain the way that you are and just enhance it and build upon that and be happy? Like, she said Smack was her homie. We used to talk about everything.
See, you said keyword was you said keyword. See, I read stuff. You said used to talk about everything. Well, so yeah, you said what change? What change? I ain't trying to stick nothing that I'm not. You know what I mean?
I saw that, but I wasn't gonna say anything.
Look, I do, and listen, I can say it because it was the same thing for me. Like I said, we used to be able to say any and everything to each other. Like we didn't even date until, I don't know, probably like 8-9 years ago. You know what I mean? So when I say we were butt buddies, like we were butt buddies. I knew all his dirt. He knew all my dirt. And it never was a big thing until now. Personally, I think it might be ego. That's what my therapist used to always say. Like our first couples therapy session, he was like, "Woo, the ego in this room." And I'm like, "Well, you are sitting here with two Aries. Like, I don't know what you were expecting." But you said we don't have all the extra stuff going on to share.
Oh, okay. That's because the two of you are doing things together and you're building together. So that makes sense. Yeah.
See, and that was something that I always got. We still discuss everything. That's good. That was the thing that I always worried about. Like, if I was always doing something with you, like I think I was watching something the other day. Oh, I was watching Ugly Betty. I started watching that again. And she's dating this guy at one point, and she's like, we literally, we eat together, we brush our teeth together, we go to bed together, we work together, we walk to, like, we go to work. We do everything together. So at this point in time now, I feel like I need to do something else without you just so that I can have something to talk about.
And there should be a separation time. Like, I would love to be with Jason all the time. However, we have to work, number one. Number two, if you're together all the time.
Exactly, Pete. Exactly. We used to have those kind of conversations. Now all of a sudden, you know, you married for a couple years, and now it's like you start talking about that booty call again, and now somebody get a whole attitude. And it was like, yo, we were laughing about this booty call like 2 years ago. Now it's not funny.
That is funny. That's funny. Yeah, but you gotta have a time. I can't. You doing every little thing together. Yeah, nobody's breathing. Like, I want to give you time. I want to give you time to miss me.
Yes, I feel you on that. One thing I don't understand why it starts off so good and after a time period they change.
We ain't got to worry about that. We don't have to worry about that. We don't have to worry about that. Trust me. That won't ever be an issue.
Yeah, like I said, I just really think it's people not being their authentic, bringing their authentic selves to the beginning to a
Absolutely.
relationship. My pastor growing up had said, and this is the only reason why I'm like, I don't know about these short term courtship type of thing, because he's like, it takes a person 7 years to put their facade down.
I heard that. But I
Yeah,
have
I like.
grown to the point where and worked on me enough to where you're getting me. I told
There you
Jason from
go.
the beginning, I said, listen, I do this, and this. Are you gonna be able to handle that? You're gonna be you're gonna be able to, because that's who I am. And I have been that person that would put up a facade. Like, why do that? So, and it's so stressful. So now I don't do that. You're going to get me how I am, and if you don't like that, then you weren't the intended anyway. Like,
Yeah. And that's where I'm getting to, just with understanding boundaries in general and not taking things, personally.
yeah,
Because everyone's entitled to what they like and what they don't like. And here's the reality of the situation. I am not the same person that I was 5 years ago when I got married.
yeah,
So if you're going to take this on a long-term journey, you have to be ready to understand that you're going to get different versions of a person.
yeah. And you
Circumstances happen, life
right,
happens, healing, growth, all of these different things play into
right,
the continuous building of this person. So, like you were saying in the beginning, how love is a choice. This is
yeah,
you choosing to still love and give that person autonomy without trying to fix them. Can you
yeah,
be in a relationship without trying to fix someone? I don't want to fix you, April. I
yeah,
love you the way that you are. Yes,
right,
you have flaws,
right,
but that's for you to work on.
yeah, right. And for me to
My
just
presence is just going to bring it out, because that's
right,
for whatever reason. You know what I mean? In relationships, that's what happens. The person that you're with brings out that other side. It's up
mhm.
to you to see you the one who got the problem and then go fix it.
Right,
You know what I mean? Rather than just
right.
pointing the finger and being over here like, no, it's you.
So Jason said he disagrees. He says he thinks it's 5 years and not 7 years. I'm curious to know why you feel it's 5 years and not 7 years. Do you know?
You better, Jason.
Facts, 'cause,
But instead me, he said, I've accepted April for who she is. Like I said, you better. Pete said, we
right.
were friends for a year, together for 5, and we're both our authentic weird self. I love you, Peach. I love that.
You two are, oh, y'all are amazing. I love them. I do love them. Oh, he
Oh my
said
goodness.
because of experiences. So he says 5 years as opposed to 7 because of experience. And that's for those that have had experiences. There are those that
Yeah,
have not had significant experiences, and it does take them those 7 years or longer. So if you've already been through some things in relationship, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you've been married before, but you've been
right.
in any extensive type of relationship for, one or two of them, and had things going on, then yeah. And you never married, then yeah, I get that. But for those that are brand new, like still wet behind the ears,
Yeah, exactly. And I think that, like, as we're, getting older, definitely when you hit your mid 30s or 40s and stuff like that, you've gotten to a place now where, I mean, I remember in my 20s, I didn't know what I wanted. I just knew what I didn't want.
yeah,
So I ended up in relationships with people who just didn't do what I didn't want, but they
yeah.
weren't necessarily doing what I wanted them to do
Exactly.
either.
You paid
You know?
such great attention to what that they weren't doing what you didn't want them to do, that you didn't see that, oh, I don't like that either. What are
Exactly.
you
But
doing?
I also didn't pay attention to myself and what I wanted.
Yeah.
because I allowed, and that's, like I said, once another reason why I'm in therapy. It was one of those things where when you deal with abandonment issues, you accept a lot of things that you wouldn't ordinarily accept for the simple fact of you're valuing that connection.
Yeah.
You're constantly thinking that at any point in time, someone can just pull the rug out from underneath you.
Right.
So those things, those red flags, those whatever those things that that end up coming out, those are the things that you're like, oh, like you said, well, but and now we over here making excuses for
right.
then down the line you're over here hot because you done wasted your time, and this person is still the same person that you saw before, but now that your eyes are open, you over here like should have had a V8.
Should have went there and sat down, had a piece of cake, and did instead of doing this. Shoot.
Yeah, that cake would have probably done you a lot better.
You know what? And I think too, for a lot of people that came on these reality shows, these love shows, a lot of them didn't have experiences. They just did not. And so they didn't know how to handle people who were different than they were and didn't think like they thought and did things the way that they did. And they didn't know that it could be a cultural thing. It could be a communication issue, lack of experience, all of that inclusive. So when you get in this, like the pilot who had been married before and his wife, this young thing that just wanted to party, like, excuse me, ma'am, your husband's a whole pilot. Like he flies all over the world, and then you're just out here just living it up. Why are you on this show, and why did you marry him? What were you hoping to gain from that?
Yeah, absolutely.
So he's looking at you. He's looking for someone to be settled that he can live life with and do life with, and he got to get his drunk wife.
Exactly. And I watched them. I was like, things are working out better for, him now, but he ended up almost losing his pilot license trying to keep up with her.
Oh, wow. That's too much.
For me, I feel like is dangerous. That's where you have to like draw a line for certain things, because at no point in time should your spouse, your partner, your anything be the cause for you to lose yourself and, what's the word? Affect your job, any of those kind of things, because they're trying to keep up with the habits that you have. And that's what made me think of it when Peach was saying, she said, I think for relationships to work, you have to enjoy some of the same things like foods, morals, activities.
Yep.
I agree. You should be able to enjoy some of those same things because, I mean, you want somebody to do life with. Yes. But then at the same time, I feel like there's also fun in you enjoying things that I don't necessarily enjoy. I'm the type that even though I don't like hunting, I'd go hunting with you just for craps and giggles. Why? Because I want to spend time with you. I don't really care. Like, I don't really care about that.
Well, I would use that example because I'm not going in nobody's woods unnecessarily. But I will say for Jason and I, we do like a lot of the same things. He didn't know that I like watching football. I love football. I love NFL. I love college ball. And I asked him, like, can I, why? He was like, for real? Like, yeah. I'm not that person that's going to be asking questions because I kind of, know what's going on. I may ask a question here and there, but I'm sure there's some things that he likes that I don't particularly care for. And we probably have discussed it, and I'm drawing a blank right now, but yeah, I will. And I have sacrificed before in previous relationships and done things to spend time with that person, even though I really didn't want to do it.
Right.
And it turned out to be disastrous for me because they really didn't acknowledge me being there or care. So it's like, oh, okay, this is what we do. Because my first ex-husband, he played semi-pro football. And so I would go to his games. This is when we were dating. We weren't married then, but I would go to watch him play, but it was like I didn't even exist. You know why? Because he had another chick that was there watching him play too. Dummy me. Right. So it's like, oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, Peach said, I'm not going hunting. Screw that. I'm not going in nobody's woods with no guns. No, thank you. Because if
Yes.
I had a gun and something make a noise, I'm shooting
I
everybody.
would never.
I'm that scary. Everybody's going down. I'm sorry.
Pizza, I hate sports, but I'll fall asleep in the room with her while she watches it. I
Oh,
used to be that person, but now it just really annoys the heck out of me. Like, I don't know what it is about the background noise. It's probably just because I grew up a big football fan, but after the whole thing with Colin Kaepernick, after really seeing what the effects of playing the game does to the players, and especially because one of my best, dearest friends is a football player. He's played since he was a child, even up until even now, and it's like you can see how it affects a person,
yeah.
and especially for our black males when you see that young man who beat his girlfriend up in the elevator. There was no empathy. He was just a man beater who needed to be put underneath the jail. It wasn't, he took a job that literally caused him to do this.
Mm-hmm.
You've got these men who are like, I'm 40 years old and I have to relearn how to read. I can't walk up the stairs unassisted. It was those kind of things that, like, I'm the empath. That's where it comes from. And I'm like, oh man, really? And now here I am over here just rooting for these people to get beat up on a regular. So that changed for me.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that doesn't mean that I won't go to a game. Like if, someone's having something at their house and they're like, oh, why don't you come over and watch the game? As long as there's something else that I could do while I'm there, I'll go. If it's not, I'll see you when you get back. And that's just because I'm like, well, what else am I supposed to do? Just sit there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I don't know. Is the answer then just sit there?
Well, yeah.
Because if we're not going to be interacting at all, I could be doing something else on my own time.
Well, you're there for them. It's not for you. It's this time that you're spending together. So snuggle and just be quiet. Just look. Just look. And he wouldn't even care if you weren't engaged because they're so focused on what's going on. It doesn't even matter.
Exactly. So if you're so focused on it not mattering, then does it matter that I'm there? No, it doesn't.
Yes, because they know that you're there. That's the whole point.
I'm there in spirit. I'm with you all the time.
Well, if that be the case, then yeah, you need to break. I'll need a break if it's like
This
that.
doesn't work because you can't build trust. I think, yeah, that's the only reason why I do like the couples who choose to say, we're going to stay together for right now because we haven't had enough time.
Mm-hmm.
Let's give some off-camera time to figure it out. And if it works, great. If it doesn't, fine. You know what I mean? That's why I really do like Doug and Jamie, because like they really did the work.
They did. They
did. And Shanice, they did the work.
They did.
Back then. Even why can't I can't think of his name right now. The Hispanic guy and a beautiful girl. This was Atlanta. Oh man. And they just had a baby.
Morales.
Yes. Them. I like that there. When I see those kind of things, I'm like, okay, there's hope. There are people who are really out here just doing the work and they really, really want this. And they're obviously appreciating both parties enough to be like, okay, we can make this work. Because remember, she was scared to have a baby. That wasn't even on her radar. He was like, well, it was almost a deal breaker for him. But they've gotten to a place, and the way that he protected her while she was pregnant, the way that he really just doted on her, how, involved he is even now, and she's enjoying motherhood. Like, I am so happy for her. I don't even know her, but I'm like super happy for her because I'm like, yes, this is really what you wanted. You took a leap and you trusted that he was still going to have you in the end. And he did set up certain things where it was like, yeah, I could see this working because he's trying to lay down a foundation that once they get off camera, that's something that he can be able to work with.
Well, this has been quite interesting.
That it has.
Just my perspective, your perspectives, Peach and Jason. That's it. We didn't And maybe that's all it was supposed to be for this show.
Exactly.
But
But
it
that
makes
doesn't mean if you watch the replay and you've got something to say, please jump in on there,
right.
put your comments in there because we can come back. We can definitely make this a part two. We can, continue the conversation in the comment section. So
Absolutely, because we get that. We get the notifications. Peach says she's surprised matchmaking shows aren't using astrology. That would make money. Yeah, because people are really into that. Really. And all I can tell you is my sign. I don't know what the characteristics are or none of that. Jason is a Leo. I do know what what that encompasses, and he is 100% that. 100% that. So but the people are really into astrology and signs and
yeah.
what that means and putting that together. But I'm with Peach. That would make some money. I'm not doing. Smack's a Leo too.
Oh, that makes
Oh
so much more sense. So
Lord.
much sense. Them fire signs.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Well, we have come to the end of our show of our He Said, She Said, and our topic was, is love a reality show? And so we talked about Love is Blind, Married at First Sight, 90 Day Fiance, and Ultimatum, and the people that are on there and how you feel about that. And so Morgan and I have shared our thoughts and opinions on that. And we want you, like she said, to weigh in the comments and let us know what you think about it. And we'll continue on. We'll both probably respond to folks that come in and give what they need to. But on next week, next Tuesday is October what, 3rd?
Yeah. Goodness gracious.
Last quarter of the year. Last quarter. We have 3 female entrepreneurs so far lined up for October. If you are a female entrepreneur and you have not been a guest on our show, we would love to interview you and learn more about your business or businesses and nonprofits or for profits or whatever you're doing in the community. So if you know someone, there's someone I'm supposed to call, and I just was reminded Jackie gave me someone, and I have yet to reach out to this lady, so I need to get her to add her in. We have a few more slots for 2023, and then we're putting everybody else into 2024. But, and I want to say this so Peach can hear it, in December, we are going to do a reunion show, and we're going to choose some of our most exciting
Yeah.
and vibrant guests, and we're going to have them on as in a panel. And if we're able to get some clips from their shows that they were guests on and kind of play those and discuss and see where they are and what's going on, that would be so great. So
Yeah, like a nice reunion episode.
yeah, that would be great before we go into the new year. So
Yeah.
when we go into the new year, Morgan and I are looking at expansion and new things with Hop. We are excited about it. She and I, we're just like,
I know we got empowered after last week and knowing really like where we stand with this show.
I know, right? Did we just
Like,
get
we
the
about
shock
to
in our lives? I'm still thinking about that. Like,
I
whoa,
know.
that's heavy. And we're it. I'm thinking, oh, we're just gonna pick up where Peach left off. Peach, you dropped it on us last week.
Yes, exactly. And I have been thinking about nothing but things that we could do for this show since. So I'm
Yeah.
super excited the direction this is going.
Oh
Of
yeah.
course, to be doing a show with you. And we've got the backing with Peach and Smack. So I feel like we are a dynamic team. I love it.
We are. And so y'all know, Morgan and I still have not met in person. We've talked on the phone, we video chat, we see each
That's
other
my
every
sister, but I've
Tuesday.
never met her.
All right. But we have a great relationship outside of Hop. We do.
Yes.
And I love you. I love you dearly. Like
I
you are
love you too.
sister. Oh,
I
and
do
I love
too.
to show with you. So y'all join us next week at 7:15 Eastern Standard Time, 6:15 Central, and 4:15 Pacific. And if you're out of the country, figure it out. I don't know.
Exactly.
I'm not
Use
going
that
to
clock app.
use I don't know. But we will be back next Tuesday with another female entrepreneur. So share this out. Join us. Oh, thank you,
Thanks,
baby.
Jason. It was a pleasure talking with you too, spaghetti eater.
She's becoming a lot more visible. A lot more visible now. So we'll be back next week and we will see y'all. Have a great ending to your week and a great weekend. We'll talk to y'all
See
later.
you later.
Yeah, I'm so extra. Express myself, I'm next up. Yeah, what more do you say? Coming up. Yeah. Come on.